So my environment is important, and that's why God talks so much about it. Because some people, they're trying to get a miracle, and I'm going to show you in a minute how to just cut the miracle power off. They want to get a miracle, but their environment is so jacked up. No wonder your kids won't listen. You don't listen to your husband. What makes you think they're going to listen to you? What are you becoming? If your environment is deficient, you will not achieve all that God has for you. If your environment is ideal, the possibilities of fulfilling your potential are limitless. So your environment must receive your attention. It must receive your attention. And you got to be strong enough to understand. And I think if you can understand how important it is, you won't have an issue with making some adjustments within that environment, because that environment speaks to you. Now, I want you to go to Mark chapter 5. And while you're turning there, one of my favorite stories I like to tell is about this, because we're talking about environment, is about this fish called the koi fish, or the Japanese carp. And this fish, the way God made it, is it will grow. It grows depending on the environment that it's in. And in a little tank, however many gallons, let's say a 50-gallon tank, it'll probably grow to be about 5, 6, 7 inches, which is pretty good size for a 50-gallon tank. Actually, that's too big for a 50-gallon tank. Anyway, but if you take that out of that tank and put it down in the Kenai River, it'll grow to about maybe 1.5 feet, 2 feet. But if you take it out to the Pacific Ocean, there's no telling how long it'll be, how big. It grows depending on the environment that it's in. You're like that. Your environment you're like that. And sometimes God, what he has to do is like what he did for Abraham. Because he said, Abraham, I got to get you out of this tank, because you're too much fish for this tank. And if you stay in this tank, if you adapt to this tank, this is all you'll ever be. And so sometimes we adapt to our environment instead of getting out of this environment and changing to a bigger one so we can grow some more. Yeah. That's what God did with Joseph. See, when Joseph's brothers, they saw Joseph, when they looked at Joseph, they saw a spoiled brat. When God looked at him, he saw the prime minister of Egypt. And all the stuff he went through, and Joseph had enough sense, never ever, I'm going to do a thing on vision, but he never lost his vision, even with all the hell he went through. But Joseph had enough sense to say, what they meant for evil, God meant for good. He said, I'm going from the pit to the palace. I'm going to the highest, most powerful man, second man in the nation, with a little spoiled brat. He had a dream, and he locked onto it, and he saw what God saw. That's why he never deviated. That's why he never compromised. That's why, watch this. That's why whatever environment he was in, the environment adapted to him. That's why I said wherever he went, everything started working. Everything just started happening. Why? Because he stayed locked in to what was on the inside of him. I love this stuff. And so like that fish, I don't adapt to it. I just find me a bigger pond. And God, you're going to have to take me out and put me in the pond. Your environment matters. It's either causing you to grow, or it's causing you to die. See, every environment, everything needs a specific environment. The plant. See, you can't grow oranges up here in Alaska. You need a specific environment to grow oranges. I was telling them I have a saltwater tank. Now, it's a lot of work, high maintenance, but I like those pretty fish. I got to change. I got to haul all this water. Well, I have it delivered sometime, but I haul all this water every 2 weeks. I got to change it out. Got to have the right chemicals in it. Look like a little scientist. you know. And then I got to talk to him. I got to give him a pep talk. I had to take one to the fish doctor. He lost his sight, but we raised him up. He got it back. I'm serious. Pay too much money for the fish. And so what you can do, now what? I can say, listen, okay, this is too much. Let me put these jokers in a regular tank like everybody else. You know what will happen to those fish? You know why? They need a specific environment to be all that they can be. You know why if we plant orange trees up here in Alaska, you know what they would do? The orange seed? Or even if we pull one up here from Miami, Florida, and planted it, you know what would happen to it? Why? Y'all doing good, class. You know what would have happened to you in the wrong environment? You just exist like everybody else, and your dream would die. Your environment is important. Where you are determines what grows in you. Where you are to see your growth, your potential needs a specific climate. Your potential, your gift needs a climate that is tailor-made for. You preaching good today. I already heard it, and I'm getting fired up. Okay, now I asked you to go. What did I ask you to go? Okay, go to Mark 5. That's good. That's good. Whew. This is so simple too, isn't it? Isn't it? Yes. Oh, okay. It's simple to me. Okay, Mark chapter 5. Now, I want to talk about this because potential is nullified, aborted, or destroyed when the environment is contaminated, violated, or disrupted. God created everything to flourish within a specific environment. Okay. In Mark chapter 5, verse 35, Jesus had just ministered to the woman with the issue of blood and said, verse 35, while he was still speaking, some came from the ruler of the synagogue's house who said, your daughter is dead. Why trouble the master any further? As soon as Jesus heard the words that were spoken, he said to the ruler of the synagogue, do not be afraid, only believe. That's the only option today. Verse 37, and he permitted no one to follow him except, Jesus always had an entourage, but he said, these are the only people I want to come in, Peter, James, and John, the brother of James. Then he came to the house of the ruler of the synagogue and saw a tumult. That's a bunch of folks going crazy. And he saw a tumult and those who wept and wailed loudly. Now, if you've ever been to a particular kind of funeral, you know what this means. Folks trying to crawl in the casket. I'm trying to be cool, okay. And they had in that day they had professional mourners. I guess the louder you got, the better the funeral was, or the more the pastor preached. I don't know how that worked. Verse 39. And when he came and he said to them, why make this commotion and weep? The child is not dead, but she's sleeping. Okay, now watch the response of the people. And they ridiculed him. They laughed at him. We would say they clowned him. Right. So let me I want you to think about this. Here's Jesus, the Son of God. Just healed a woman, had issue of blood 12 years. Been doing miracles all down the street, all down the Sea of Galilee and in Capernaum and all the places. And here he's coming in. Jesus, the one they sent for. Yeah. They sent for him to heal her. And they weren't sent for him. They didn't know he couldn't do anything.